Hey everyone, Sean Anthony, sa1251 here, making my first video for husng.com in a very long time. I think it's been probably 6 or 7 months now. Going to be playing a few randoms at the lower stakes on lock. Just would like to talk about, possible ways to play recreational opponents, weaker opponents without really any reads. Tried to get myself in a few situations, just maybe changing up my style to really display, how exploitable you can play against inferior opponents. So hopefully I did find myself in some interesting spots and can discuss it. So here we go. As you can see, this is a $15 game. This guy was open sitting, so I expect him possibly to be, a regular at the lower stakes. Read this. I don't mind a check back here. Obviously, I on a King 9-7 board, it actually does, hit. I'm gonna pause this for a second. Hit a person's range pretty hard. I don't have any reads on his possible holdings, his possible calling range pre-flop at 25 big blinds. Absolutely no history with this guy. So without that history, I don't mind check back. And depending on the turn card, calling a street, possibly calling rivers. We can easily hit a queen or an ace. Gives us the best hand, high percentage of the time. But if I do c-bet 40 here, and he calls, with history with someone, their range might be more weighted towards weaker 9x, 7x, 6-8 weaker draw type hands, 10-8, 10-jack. I don't have any history with him, so I don't know if his check call range does consist of stronger hands or it's very weighted towards those weaker holdings. So read this. I don't mind check back. I get to understand a little bit more about his game based on whether or not he turned pro bets. If I can get to showdown, I can pick up some information that I can use in later hands. So I decided to check back. The 8 of the diamonds is obviously not a good card for my range compared to his range. This is a card that I expect a regular just to barrel constantly while following up on rivers most of the time, because after I check back the flop, it's his range. His range is a lot stronger than my perceived range. So he doesn't bet, which actually makes me believe he has an 8x or a 7x, possibly an ace high type hand, ace 2, ace 3, ace 4, looking to get the showdown. I do see a lot of 7x, 8x here when a person quickly checks on the turn. But we get the showdown, and the river's a possible value bet, but without history, I think it's a little too weak to be value betting. It's possible he does have that 8x and just is an inferior opponent and doesn't see the reason to value bet. He could have 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, something like that he didn't shove pre-flop. So once we get to showdown and I win the hand, when I win the hand, I expect to see ace 2, ace 3, ace 4 a lot. But when we see he showed 2-10, which immediately tells me that now this guy is very passive, and when he's betting, I expect him to be strong. So that said, I check back king 6 offsuit. When he limps, I lead for 30. Now I lead for 30 because of the read I pick up in the first hand. This guy just seems passive based on the line he took with the 2-10, so I don't expect him to be betting this flop with air much at all. Against a regular, I think, I can definitely see leading this flop against a regular, given some game flow or some reads. But this is a flop that people should be c-betting a ton. They're going to have a lot of 7-10, 8-10, jack high, queen high stuff that's, going to have a lot of barreling possibilities. So, yeah, I decided to lead just because I don't think he's actually going to have many bluffs in his range. Now, that gives him the opportunity to call those 7-8, 8-10, king high, ace high possible type hands that he wouldn't be betting himself. When he raises me immediately small, I really just don't think he's bluffing again. Like I said, when he raises me small, even though there's a 6 on the board and there's a 6 in my hand, which obviously reduces the combinations of possible 6x, I really do weight his hands to be those 6x's much more than a 9x. Like I said, I don't think he's bluffing. He could have possibly limped with a big pair, but I really just based on experience see these quick min raises as, from weaker players, especially given the timing tell and the size. I just put him on a lot of 6x, even though the combinations are drastically reduced. And a lot of that 6x is going to shut down, especially from a passive opponent on turns and rivers, because there's going to be numerous scare cards, especially given this guy's lack of aggression anyway. And if he has 9x, I'm most likely going to be giving him my stack later on. There's a possibility of, me folding by the river if he does triple barrel based on certain boards, but I just think that the weight of his hand distribution is definitely more towards that weaker 6x, and considering, one, the 6x is going to shut down in numerous turns, and two, my king is going to play so often against that weaker 6x, and it's just, king 6 here is just a great hand to have against that 6x. He's never going to be folding 6x if I do raise here. Given all those reasons, I decide to raise, get it in, expecting to see, occasionally expecting to see that 9x, but the extra value that I do pick up from getting 6x to put his stack in here when he would shut down on so many turns and rivers, I think that definitely outweighs the times that I'm getting stacked by 9x. And even though, I say the combinations of 6x are reduced as well, the combinations of 9x that he could have are reduced also because of the 2 9s on the board. Given his lack of aggression, I think 10-9 is a standard bet here with the rationale that I'm going to continue on numerous turns and rivers. You get ace high, king highs to fold. 8x, 5x finds folds on many turns and rivers, and jack 9, jack 10 type hands, you get those to fold numerous times by the river as well. So he's limped. It's only one hand, but he limped that hand. So immediately I think, either I check back 9-4 offsuit. Yeah, it's a horrible hand, but I think the expectation, I think you're going to see so many folds right there that the expectation, given the fold equity, is. Sorry, I got cut off. The expectation of shoving 9-4 off in the limp pot is going to be higher than just checking and playing post flop. Now, looking back on it, this guy is so passive that I could probably use my aggression and create a positive scenario expectation. Just, checking back a very wide range and leading numerous flops and turns. But here I just, given game flow, given past history with guys who limp a ton, I expected the fold equity just to be tremendously high here. King 10 off is a call if he does shove. I don't love calling King 10 off against a player like this, but it's going to be a necessity. Here I make a standard bet here. Now you can just really nitpicking, you can talk about sizes here. Now the reason why I'm betting here is one, the main reason is that if he does have Queen X, I think he's going to be raising here, which just, if he does call it, just there's so many barreling opportunities against that 2x, 6x I'm going to get so many folds by rivers that I think a larger size is actually the right move here. I would typically bet like 35 or 40 here as a C bet on such a dry board and expect a lot of folds. But here is actually this bet is almost for value because on a board like this, I expect him to be kind of turning his hand face up, and I expect the fold equity by rivers to be so much that this is almost a value bet because, yeah, the board's just going to run out so many times in ways that he's going to be incapable of calling that I decided to bet a little bigger. Now, when the king hits, I don't expect many folds, to be honest, from the 2x, 6x on turns, but by rivers, I do expect folds. So I like making it a size that, not too small and not too large that it kind of intimidates him too much from calling that 6x, 2x, just like a middling size that also creates a pot that puts him in a spot on the river where, it's 480, there's 260 left. When I shove that 260, it almost is enticing him to call because, I'm getting almost 2-to-1 odds. I've gotten to this point, I might as well call. So for one reason that I'm just, I expect to have the best hand almost all the time. I want to get value on the turn by betting larger. And if I do bet 90, I do reduce the value I'm getting from the worst hands that are calling. And it also just sets up a more intimidating shove on the river. Let's say I bet 90. Let's go back here. Now, let's say I bet 90 here. The pot becomes 310, 400, and I have 290 left. It's not a huge difference, but I still do think, giving a guy shoving 75% compared to 50% does mentally have does make a difference against some opponents. This is just if I could make a standard c-bet barreling opportunity hand disgusting. If I could explain a c-bet barreling opportunity to a weaker opponent trying to learn his game, I would almost make this exact hand on the right with the 7-9 of clubs. It displays. I don't like my sizing here either. I would like to make it bigger also for the reasoning on the left that I'm just almost making a value bet here because 7-9 of clubs, Jack 6-3 board, numerous barreling opportunities where a player really has difficulty calling 3 streets, backdoor clubs, backdoor straight draws everywhere, just so many barreling opportunities that this is just a perfect scenario to c-bet and expect to go 3 streets and have tons of fold equity on turns and rivers.